Purvani vicharine nevasesha sanyavadi pastachare shatarine. Now, just as a prelude, when did the Twin Towers come down? This picture has the Twin Towers on it. Although they're colored differently, presumably they'd already come down. 2001? 2001? 2001, wasn't it?
2001, September 11th.
September 11th, 2001, okay. So it so happened on September the 10th, 2001, I was right here in this temple. It so happened I gave a talk that day on Srila Prabhupada's arrival in Boston, because it was the Vedic day when Prabhupada arrived in Boston. You got it? It wasn't the same day on our calendar, but it was the Vedic calendar day. The day before the Twin Towers came was the actual day when Prabhupada arrived in Boston. I gave a lecture here, maybe not in this room, I don't remember, but it was in your centre in Dublin, which I guess was somewhere here then as well. And the next day, early morning, I flew to UK. I went to see my brother for the first time in a decade or more. And I arrived at his house, or I didn't, I arrived at the train station, he picked me up. This is the day after. And he said, "Do you know what's happened?" I said, "What do you mean, what's happened?" I mean, you could answer that so many ways. What happened? What's happened? Well, I just caught the train. What else has happened? I just got off the train. I mean, what do you mean, you know? Of course, he was clear about what he meant. I had no idea what he was talking about. He said, "Okay, then you'll see what happens when you get to the house." So 10 minutes later, we arrived at his house. All the family were there. Mum was there, and brothers and this and that. They were watching the TV, and everyone was like, I thought, what's going on here? They were like affixed to the television. I walked in, and just as I walked in, the second tower came down. Just as I walked in the door. And my brother shouted, "My God," he's a total agnostic, doesn't believe in karma or God. He said, "My God, that's karma." I thought, where'd you get that from? And besides that, at first, I thought this was some kind of movie. Then it became obvious that the Twin Towers were coming down. The ironic thing is that day when they said that those planes that flew from Boston to New York, right? Isn't it? They said that they flew from Boston to New York and flew into the towers. That very day, Prabhupada, 36 years earlier, was going from Boston to New York. It's too coincidental to have no meaning. Now, Prabhupada had nothing to do with this, madness of knocking down the Twin Towers in one sense. Madness to put them up, and it's madness to knock them down. It's certainly terrifying to kill so many people in the process. The whole thing is, madness. But the point being that their idea was to change the power, or to attack the Western ideal, whatever it is, get their own back, whatever it is, whatever it's said to be, who knows what it is, but that was the idea. Prabhupada's idea was to fulfill his spiritual master's mandate. Now, his spiritual master had a mandate, which is not, it shouldn't be misunderstood. We should understand it properly. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, our purpose is to tear down the Western civilization. Don't misunderstand it. That doesn't mean boom, boom, boom. It means changing the consciousness. Even if you tear down the buildings and take them over the power, nothing changes, because the same madness is there. The same ignorance is there. The real change is a consciousness. When we say Western civilization, he's referring to this materialistic civilization based upon the bodily concept of life. I need some kind of cushion at the back here. My back's being, in the middle of my back is like wood pressing in. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, so that's the point, is a change. One's enough, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. If anyone needs a cushion, there is one more here. Change of consciousness, and that's what Prabhupada came for. He didn't come with any intention. You don't have to even change the externals. That's not the point. They can stay there. But when the consciousness changes, everything changes. When you change the buildings and the consciousness doesn't change, there's no value. You change everything else, the dress, the name of the religion, no value whatsoever. Because it's all based upon a material perspective or a material concept. The very perception which we have of this world has to change, not the world. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj said, it's not the world that has to change, but our perception of it. You got that? Is this online now? Okay. Our perception of the world has to change. That's the change of consciousness, which Prabhupada only, basically speaking, no one else goes there. They don't even know what consciousness is. They're still debating, all the philosophers and scientists, religions. Prabhupada came to change the consciousness of the people. So we can see things from God's perspective, not just from our interpretation or our angle. So his coming to the West, 1965, how many years ago is that now? That's 57 years, is it? 57, I think, 57 years ago. Most significant event, almost unknown to the world in general at the time. In fact, entirely unknown. Nobody, I mean, who on the planet knew about Prabhupada's arrival in America? Everyone on the planet knows Queen Elizabeth. Tomorrow is her funeral, right? Tomorrow? Partly everyone on the planet knows that. At least they know she left her body, right? Maybe not everyone, but pretty much everybody. World famous. But with all due respect, I mean, she wasn't an ordinary person, there's no doubt. She did read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. She did come in contact with devotees many times. She did take prasadam, and she did glorify Krishna. She's an unusual person, but in one sense, you know, what is the result? What is the actual result of all the glorification and everything else? Recognition, okay, materially speaking, she's not an ordinary person, there's no doubt. She did probably better than anyone else could have done in her position, materially. So whatever it is, agree or not agree, whatever it is, it is. But Srila Prabhupada's contribution was totally unnoticed. His appearance in America was unknown, even to his own family. They didn't care less, practically. Vrindavan Day did, but he didn't really know the significance of it all. Even his own godbrothers, spiritually speaking, didn't really tune into what Prabhupada was doing at all. It was like, you know, wasting of time. And certainly no one in the West even knew he'd arrived. There was no newspaper article, there was a little tiny one in Calcutta of leaving, but nothing about arriving. But that was one of the most significant days in the history of this world, in changing the world's course. Of course, a long way to go. It's just happening, step by step, just like we went on Harinam today. Saw so many people got books, many people chanted Hare Krishna, many more could have done. It's slowly happening, slowly. It'll progress, but this started with Prabhupada stepping off the boat in 1965 in Boston. So we're going to, I hope we're going to go. Let me see, I have to take this closer. Is that okay? You got, still working okay, okay. So we hope everything works orderly. There we go. What is this? September the 17th. Why has it got 1965 to 2015? Okay, I was showing, this is just a take on a presentation I made 60 years after the event, or whatever, 50 years, 60? 50 years, 50th anniversary of that event. So I was giving this presentation somewhere on 50th anniversary. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Prabhupada. Some beautiful slides of Prabhupada. Isn't that gorgeous? I mean, what can you say? You can look at that all day long. Amazing. Jai Prabhupada. Every picture paints another facet of Prabhupada's unlimited character, unlimited qualities, all different aspects of his personality. So we're going to go back now in this mission, you could say, not very far back, but 5,000 years ago. I'm sure you all remember 5,000 years ago, right? No. We can't even remember 5 minutes ago, practically speaking. 5,000 years ago, what was, according to the Vedic culture of Vedic society, what was happening on this planet? More or less. Yeah, more or less. Krishna was present on the planet, and that's pretty inconceivable when you really get down to it. But why? God is inconceivable. He can do anything he likes, and you say, well, I don't believe that. That's your problem. It doesn't make any difference. Krishna can do what he likes. He's not depending upon our belief. Truth doesn't depend upon relativity. Relativity depends on truth. So Krishna can do what he likes. So we understand that Krishna appeared on this planet 5,000 years ago with his associates. With his associates. And just before, what happens just after the Lord departs from this planet? What happens next? Who said that? Thank you. The Kali Yuga comes in. You know, you don't get many seasons now. Maybe you still do a little bit, but it's not so clear now. Huh? Winter, summer, you can't tell necessarily so clearly that it's winter, summer anymore. Sometimes you can. This year had a hot summer. Last year was like winter. The summer we had last year was almost, I don't know what it was like here, but where I was, it was almost like winter. It was a horrible summer. Worst summer I've ever experienced, to be honest. So sometimes it's like this, sometimes you can't guarantee. When I was a kid, in the 50s, you could almost guarantee the summer was going to be warm and sunny. There'd be some rain, but not much. You could almost guarantee, in the south of England, there would be snow, and it'd be cold. That was how you accepted it, but that's not necessarily the case now. You hardly see snow in the south of England now. It's very rare. Every year we get snow, sometimes 4 foot tall snow, south of England. Freezing. It was just the seasons. And then the summer would be very warm. Every day going on the beach. And now it's unpredictable. So the seasons change. Let's say the nature of the seasons may be a bit changed as Kali Yuga gets a bit mixed up. But normally we have these, not just seasons, we have 4 ages. Satya, Treta, Dwapara and Kali. And each one of them has their particular Haribol, has their particular characteristics, Hare Krishna. So Kali Yuga, characteristics of this age, which we're now in, which started 5,000 years ago, are, what are the characteristics? Just like winter is supposed to be cold, a little dark, and maybe snowy, a bit depressing, some trees lose their leaves, things like that. What's the symptom of Kali Yuga?
Ignorance, quarrel.
Pardon? Ignorance, quarrel, hypocrisy, hyper crazy. Is that what it means? Hypocrisy? Hyper crazy? Hypocrisy. What else, Kali Yuga?
Envy.
Envy is up and down. Of course, there's tendency to be more envious in Kali Yuga, no doubt. But it's not exclusive to Kali Yuga. Of course, not absolutely exclusive, but it's not so emphasized. It's there. More envy is there. So we had, what did you say, quarrel? Quarrel? What was the other one? Hypocrisy? Hypocrisy, we could say that involves cheating also. Cheating, very common. Lying. Lying is becoming more and more common. Very materialistic age. Like that. It's and then there are many other characteristics mentioned in the 11th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, of this age. The various, you could say, specific aspects of behavior, length of life, and so on and so forth. Misleadership and many things in this age of Kali become prominent. Religion, irreligion is taken as religion, and religion is taken as irreligion. Many characteristics of Kali Yuga are there. So the Kali Yuga is about to begin. And at that time, Narada Muni, Bajaya Vina. Very concerned. Why is he concerned? What's he got to worry about? Why he should be worried? What's Narada worried about? He's not bothered with him. The age of Kali, it doesn't affect him. Why is he worried? Huh? Compassion. Pure devotees, paradukha-dukhi. They really suffer because of the suffering of others. So they're also, they can see past, present, and future. Trikalaga. So he was very worried about the future in this Kali Yuga. Because he could see that, already, even at the beginning, that people were universally losing interest in devotional service. particularly chanting the holy names. So he was very concerned. He went to see Krishna in Dwarka. Krishna was in Dwarka just before he departed the world. He went to see him. And he was in a distressed condition. A long story. Krishna was with Rukmini, and Rukmini was crying, and so on and so forth. She was crying because she was fearing the separation of her Lord. And the whole thing about how she told Krishna, you cannot understand why I'm crying. You will never understand why I'm crying. Wait a minute, I'm God. What do you mean? I will not be able to understand why you're crying. I'm God. Is this something that God cannot understand? Yes. How his pure devotees feel. Their emotions, called vipalamba. He cannot understand it. Therefore, he said, I will take a form whereby I can experience this mood which you're experiencing. And that's the manifestation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who feels the emotions of Radharani and Rukmini, all the consorts and pure devotees of the Lord. But aside from that, Lord Narada Muni was feeling distressed. Why are you distressed? He told him why. He said, don't worry. I have decided to take a particular form and appear in this world. And in this magnificent form, I will deliver all the living entities from suffering. And he said, don't worry, the Kali Yuga is coming on, but in this age I will appear unexpectedly. Normally he only doesn't appear in his full form in this age, he appears in various expansions. But in this case, he said, I'll appear in my full form as Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Once in a day of Lord Brahma, that's a long period of time. So he said, then he sent Narada Muni to spread the glories, all the news everywhere, material and spiritual. Narada was going everywhere. He went all over the universe. Those who knew were getting a little bit word Kali Yuga is coming on. But then when they heard from Narada, they all became very happy that soon the Lord is going to appear and spread prema, love of Godhead like never before, through this Sankirtan movement. And eventually he went to the spiritual realm and to the various planets in Vaikuntha, Ayodhya, Kailash. He went everywhere spreading this glorious news, spreading of good news. Everywhere, good news should be spread. And then eventually he came, he even went to Nilachal, the residence of Lord Jagannath, everywhere he went. And eventually he came to Goloka Vrindavan, and there he had the darshan of Radha and Krishna, falling at their feet, overwhelmed in ecstasy. Then the Lord suddenly, Radha Krishna suddenly transformed into the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauranga, this golden form. It's an eternal form, which he only manifests on certain occasions to those other than the internal associates, you could say. So he manifests that form of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, the form that the Lord predicted that he would take in Kali Yuga. And Narada Muni fell on the floor, he fainted, he was rolling in ecstasy. Couldn't believe how fortunate. Then the Lord lifted him up and said to Narada Muni, I will destroy the sinful activities of the age of Kali with the powerful chopper of Nama Sankirtan. I will cut the hard knots of demoniac desires from the hearts of everyone. Even if the sinners reject religion or flee to foreign countries, still they will get my mercy. I will send more Senapati Bhakta, that means my chief field commander, to go everywhere and deliver them. So these are the words of Lord Gauranga, or the combined form of Radha and Krishna, to Narada Muni. We find in Anta Samhita one. Scripture, ancient scripture, describes these events, and they're accounted in the Chaitanya Mangalam. In distributing love of Godhead, and then of course when the Lord finally appeared, there was another incident. Ganga Devi, personified, the river Ganges personified, was also considering in this age, I don't want to stay here anymore on this planet. Why? Because everyone will simply bathe in my rivers. And it's like people go to the river sometimes. I was here in your local river, Sniffy? Whiffy? No, what's it called? Huh? Liffey? River Liffey. But Manu Prabhu, no, Ananda was telling me, they used to call it Whiffy or something. because the local, they make some juice around here, isn't it? Some juice out of various products, that's famous worldwide. Nice fresh juice. What's it called? Guinness, yeah, Guinness. Very nice, healthy product. They pour some of their waste. They used to pour their waste products into the liffey and make it rather whiffy, and you become sniffy. Oh dear. The liffey is. You take a whiff of the liff and you get a sniff. Oh my God, that was a sniff. Yeah. So same way, Mother Ganges was thinking that people are going to dump their karma in her, and that's all they're going to do. Go there, bathe, and hope they get free from all their sinful reactions. Full stop. Yeah? Which is pretty much what happens. So she was thinking like that, what's this? I don't want to have to just live here as a dumping river. People dump their karma in me. I think I'll withdraw myself from Kali. So then the Lord said to her, no, don't worry. Come in, you're welcome. Very soon, the Lord said, I will be sending mantra upashaka, means one who worships my name, into this world. I will be sending mantra upashaka. When mantra upashaka, you could say it's Lord Chaitanya, of course, it's also anyone of this nature, who will go all over the world. Well, Lord Chaitanya in one sense is going all over the world, in one sense he only preached in India, but will go all over the world and awaken pure devotional service in the hearts of people everywhere. And those persons from all foreign countries, they will come to your river and they will bathe in you. And you will feel very ecstatic as they bathe and as they chant the holy names. They're not coming there to dump anything. They're coming there just simply to become purified. Not materially, but spiritually. They're coming there to chant the holy name. They're coming there to glorify you. They're coming there to spread your Lord's glories. So she became very ecstatic and decided to stay on in this Kali Yuga. So then when Lord Chaitanya came, appeared himself in this world, we read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in distributing love of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates did not consider who was fit and who was not, nor which such distribution should or should not take place. They made no conditions. Wherever they got the opportunity, the members of the Panchatattva, that's what we see on our altars of the Panchatattva, the members of the Panchatattva distributed love of Godhead. The flood of love of God swelled in all directions, and thus young men, old men, women and children were all immersed in an inundation. The Krishna conscious movement will inundate the entire world and drown everyone, whether one be a gentleman, rogue, or even lame, invalid, or blind. Drown everyone. They don't know what is going on. It doesn't mean, like a tsunami of literal water is going to drown everyone. It means that some or other people's consciousness is going to be drowned in Krishna's name or in Krishna consciousness. It may take some time, but it's going on. And there we see an example of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, particularly Lord Nityananda's mercy on the Jagais and Madhais of this age of Kali. We're all like that. We're all materialistic. We're all, in one sense, godless in a real sense, even if we go to church or temple or whatever, because we're really seeing ourselves in the center and God as some kind of order supplier. We don't really understand our relationship with God. That applies almost everywhere, almost. So Lord Nityananda came to save such personalities by showering his mercy. He opened up the floodgates of love of God, which then were distributed widely by the followers of Lord Nityananda. Lord Chaitanya said, my name is Vishvambara, one who maintains the entire universe. Its meaning will be actualized if I can fill the whole universe with love of Godhead. Therefore, I order every man within this universe to accept this Krishna consciousness movement and distribute it everywhere. Distribute this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Let people eat these fruits and ultimately become free from old age and death. And these are real fruits. These are the fruits we eat, apples and oranges and bananas and mangoes and whatever, nice materially. But it's not spiritual unless it's related to Krishna. So these real fruits are the fruits of love of God. These fruits are distributed through the Sankirtan movement, chanting of the holy name and the practice of pure devotional service. And then we go forward to Srila Prabhupada's great grand spiritual master, Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who predicted in 1986, 1997 or something like that. He prayed and foretold the fulfillment of Lord Chaitanya's prediction in an article for his magazine, which was called Sajjanatoshini. Lord Chaitanya, he said, did not invent himself to liberate only a few men of India. Rather, his main objective was to emancipate all living entities of all countries throughout the entire universe and preach the eternal religion. Very soon the unparalleled path of Harinam Sankirtan will be propagated all over the world. Already we are seeing the symptoms. Oh, for that day when the fortunate English, French, Russian, German and American and Irish as well, if you're from Ireland, and Irish people will take up banners, madungas and cartels and raise kirtan through their streets and towns. When will that day come? Oh, for the day when the fair-skinned men from their side will raise up the chanting of Jai Sachinandan, Jai Sachinandan ki Jai, and join with the Bengali devotees. When will that day be? On such a day they will say, our dear brothers, we have taken shelter of the ocean of Lord Chaitanya's love. Kindly embrace us. When will that day come? That day will witness the holy transcendental ecstasy of the Vaishnava Dharma to be the only Dharma. I mean, it's a process, constitutional process, to achieve perfection. It's not just a relative religious methodology. It's the eternal nature of the soul, Vaishnava Dharma. Every soul, not just one type. Every living entity. In fact, it's the Dharma of everything that exists is basically Vaishnava Dharma. Anything short of that is not really Vaishnava Dharma. So the idea is everything be connected to that flow of pure Vaishnava Dharma, and everything then, all the sects and religions will flow like rivers into the ocean of Vaishnava Dharma. When will that day come? Not that they're rejected, but they're to be guided to flow into that river. A personality will soon appear. Later on, there was one page here, but actually it was a little later than that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote, a personality will soon appear to preach the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and move unrestrictedly over the whole world with his message. So that was in the early 90s, I think, when he wrote that. Then in early 90s means 1890s. 1896, what happened in Calcutta? This is a scene from about that time in Calcutta. Who's from Calcutta? Someone here is from Calcutta. There's one lady, there was one man was here from Calcutta too, one of the Prabhus, maybe he's not with us now, from Calcutta. So you may or may not recognize that, but that's around about the turn of the century. It looked very, you could say, regal city, Calcutta. What should happen there? I took out the pictures, but in around about that time, because of time, our spiritual master appeared in 1896 in the world. The exact year that Bhaktivinoda sent the first literature in English to the Western world about Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Same year. Sent it to various universities around the world in English. Lord Chaitanya, his life and precepts. Srila Prabhupada grew up there in Calcutta, and then in 1922 he was born in a devotee family. Both of his parents were great devotees, worshipping Radha Krishna. He was worshipping Radha Krishna. His father also was organizing Ratha Yatras and so on. But there was no particular connection, you could say, with the Parampara or disciplic succession. Then in 1922, Srila Prabhupada, we mentioned earlier, on the roof of that, and now that devotee from Bengal is not here anymore, who pronounced it so nicely earlier on. You're from Bengal?
Yes.
Okay, were you the devotee who pronounced it nicely?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Ultodama.
Huh?
Ultodama.
You get that? We say Altadunga. Now you say it nice, loudly and clearly?
Ultodama.
Okay, there you go. Okay. Bengali pronunciation. We had Sanskrit pronunciation before the last talk, and then we have Bengali. Beautiful. So Bengali is a beautiful language. It's just so sweet. So sweet. Most Indian languages, many of them, sweet languages. Huh? Telugu, very sweet language. Just almost as sweet as, German. Or English. Almost. I'm joking. Whew. I won't mention what Prabhupada said about these languages. No, I don't mean Bengali, I mean English and German and other languages. Italian is probably the sweet language. Anyone from Italy? There we go. That's why you sing so sweetly. Italians are very sweet. Amongst European language, I think Italian is very sweet, isn't it? Most people think it's a very sweet language, amongst the European languages. Not to decry any other language, but everything has its characteristics. So there he met him, and he got that instruction to preach. Prabhupada got that instruction to preach Krishna consciousness in English all over the world. In 1933, Prabhupada took initiation from Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj in, anyone here from Allahabad? Prayag?
Yeah.
Who's from Prayag? I met someone on the street this afternoon. You saw those 4 young Indian boys who took that Bhagavad Gita and gave that big donation? One of them was from Prayag. They're from all holy places. One from Ayodhya, one was from Varanasi, and the other was from Chennai. I guess that's a holy place too. They were very pious young Indian men studying here in town. And they immediately took a Bhagavad Gita and gave a fairly sizable donation to students, really. So there, is anyone here from Prayag, Allahabad? No? Anyway, I think you know it's, huh?
It's near where I live, so I'm from Varanasi and Prayagraj is...
It's upriver from Varanasi. It's the junction of the Jamuna and the Ganga, where they join. Allahabad, Prayag. And there's also Saraswati joins there, but underground you can't see it. The Triveni, it's called Triveni, 3 rivers meeting there. And at that place there was an ashram where Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj had one temple ashram there. It was there Prabhupada had his pharmacy. He was a pharmacist at that time. He had a family, 4 or 5 kids. So he was looking after his family and he had a pharmacy. He was a pharmacist. And in this way he was helping the mat, he was a married man. And he got initiated there because Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, I know you, you listen, you hear very nicely. Because you hear very nicely, you will be able to preach very nicely. Hearing is the key for speaking. And then years passed, a couple of years later, our Srila Prabhupada met his Guru Maharaj at Radhakund. Everyone knows where Radhakund is? Where's Radhakund?
Govardhan.
Yeah, at the foot of Govardhan, at the end of Govardhan Hill, as we see it today. The most holy, it's said to be the most holy spot in the universe, Radhakund. The place where Radharani personally bathes. Very most holy place. So Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was staying there sometimes. His father had a house there. And he gave his instruction to our Srila Prabhupada. He said, if ever you get money, print books. Not just any book. Obviously books about Krishna consciousness. He said, very soon there will be fire in the mat, Agun Jobi. Very soon there will be fire in the mat. What do you mean by that? Not fire in terms of flames, but in terms of influence of the age of Kali. As you already mentioned, quarrel, dissent, and like that, broke out after Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj left. But he said, you concentrate. He told him, Prabhupada, don't you even join the Gaudiya ashrams. You stay where you are. The time will come. And he got that in direct instruction to print books, or to write and print books. So he started in 1944 with his first publication, was the Back to Godhead magazine. It was a simple tabloid, black and white, nothing very complicated in those days. And now you see, some of you, how many of you get Back to Godhead every 2 months? Anyone? How many are getting Back to Godhead magazine? 1, 2, now, in the post. In the post. 2, only 2 in the whole assembly. Well, that could increase to make it a little bit more known. Every 2 months, the Back to Godhead does come out. It's a very glossy magazine, quite a substantial one, and quite developed, and especially directed towards practicing devotees more than the public. Listen, the full page, Truth and Beauty, 1944. And then in the early 50s, Prabhupada retired from his family life, and eventually he went to live in Vrindavan in the Radha Damodar temple. Most of you know where the Radha Damodar temple is? In Vrindavan, who's been there? Radha Damodar temple, quite a lot of you have been there. It's a wonderful place where Prabhupada lived for several years, and with also Rupa Goswami, the great son, his follower of Lord Chaitanya, the 6 Goswamis. They would meet there. Rupa used to stay in that area. Jiva Goswami used to stay in that area. And this is a samadhi of Rupa Goswami in that courtyard of the temple of Radha Damodar, where Prabhupada also stayed. I didn't put the pictures there, time is short. He had his rooms there at the Radha Damodar temple in the early 60s. He took sannyas, Prabhupada, on the order of his Guru Maharaj, who appeared to him 3 or 4 times in his sleep, ordering him to take sannyas in order to preach the message of Lord Chaitanya around the world. And Prabhupada took sannyas in 59. Then he moved to the Radha Damodar temple and he started to work hard to produce literatures to preach Krishna consciousness. So one day, Prabhupada said that Rupa Goswami personally appeared before him, said, "Don't worry, we're all with you. We are with you, have no fear. You know, all of our presence, our potency, everything will be with you to preach this Krishna consciousness." This is Prabhupada's kitchen room inside the Radha Damodar temple. So Prabhupada then tried very hard in the early 60s to get permission. In those days it was even very hard to leave India unless you're on some business or proper professional journey of some kind, or you had a lot of money. Very hard for people to leave India in those days, in the early 60s, you know. Very difficult. And Prabhupada had no institution, no support. He had no money. He had no one he knew no one in America. He had no family in America or anything. And he was almost 70 years old. Not that he's going to go there to start a career or start studying in Harvard University, getting a degree in IT or whatever they do there. No, he had no reason to go there as far as materialists are concerned. Zero. And it's a miracle because he was just preaching and just hoping how to do this. He was trying every way to somewhere, not necessarily America, but to go somewhere to the West to begin preaching. But nothing was happening. One day he was at a program in Agra, which is near Vrindavan. And it so happened one man there was very friendly and very very impressed by Srila Prabhupada. He said, "Swamiji, you want to go to the West? I have a son who lives in America. I'll ask him to sponsor you." Well, many people have said that before. Nothing ever happened. So Prabhupada didn't think anything of it. And all of a sudden, in early 65, a letter came from the American embassy saying, "Your sponsorship letters have arrived. Please come for an interview." Couldn't believe it. What? He didn't even know what it was. It so happened that the son of this man's name was Mr. Agarwal. His son's name was Gopal. He lived in Butler, Pennsylvania. He was an engineer working there. Did what his dad said. His father did write to him and said, "Please sponsor Swamiji, da." He took all those details at that time. And he did. Prabhupada didn't ever expect anything to happen. And Gopal didn't think anything would happen either. He'd done it 10 times before for his father, but no one ever came. He thought, another one of those, don't worry about it. Just do what Dad says. So he did it. And then Prabhupada went and, sponsorship papers were there. Now he had no passport. He had no P form, a special permission to leave India from the State Bank of India. He had no support, no money, nothing. Still, that was the easiest thing in one sense, getting that. Then somehow or another he managed to get a passport, visa. There was no money with me, in an awkward position, Prabhupada said. My philosophy is completely different. I was to ask them to cease 4 kinds of sinful activity, and they are habituated to these things. Maybe you know what they are. They're written on the screen there. Illicit sex. Huh? People don't even know what that is. Drinking. I mean, not just drinking. All kinds of intoxications. Can you believe it? Illicit sex, drinking, wine and intoxication, gambling. These are their daily affairs. So I was thinking, I have to stop this. Who will hear me? Nobody. But Krishna, everything became. Guess, may I ask one thing? How you chose America to be your first, Prabhupada? My Guru Maharaj ordered me that you go and preach the cult amongst the English-speaking public, and especially in Western countries. First of all, I thought of London. Where is London? But I had no money. So I got opportunity for going to America, free, on a trade ship, his cargo ship, by the Scindia Steam Navigation. That was run by one Mrs. Samati Maraji, who had been supporting Prabhupada a little bit financially to print his books. So she sponsored a ticket for him, free ticket from Calcutta to New York on one of her cargo ships. He was manager of this great steamship company, Scindia Steamship. They gave me their first class cabinet, that means apartment, on the ship, the proprietor's cabin. I was well carried, but first of all I went on a free steamship. I had no money, what to speak of airplane. What was your question? And there's Prabhupada's passport. He eventually got a passport. There's his passport. He put his father's name, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, is his father. And he got away with it. That was his passport when he went to America. Then there's the P form. That was very difficult. That had to come from the state government. P form, sanctioned by state government. Yes, state government. It was applied for. No sanction was coming. I went to the State Bank of India. Officer, Mr. Bhattacharya, he told me, Swamiji, you are sponsored by a private man. We cannot accept it. If you were invited by an institution, we would consider. But you are invited by a private man for 1 month. And after 1 month, if you're in difficulty, there will be so many obstacles and so on. Oh, Prabhupada said, well, I have already prepared everything to go. So I said, what you have, Prabhupada speaking, what you have done. No. And the man then said, no, I have decided not to sanction your P form. No, Prabhupada said, don't do this. You better send to your superior. It should not be done like that. So he took my request and he sent the file to Chief Officer of Foreign Exchange, something like that. Anyway, he is the supreme man in the State Bank of India. So I went to see him. So he asked his secretary, have you got such and such a file? You kindly put it to his name was Mr. Rao. I want to see him. So the security agreed. And he put the file and put my slip that I wanted to see him. I was waiting. So then Mr. Rao came personally. He said, Swamiji, I have passed your case. Don't worry. Prabhupada laughs. This is in recollection, of course, over 11 years later. So he got the P form, which was very hard to get. Prabhupada saying here how he tried very, very hard to get it. It was very difficult to get out. And he tried to get somebody to help him. You've got 4 sons, he said. He approached many people. Please give me one of your sons. I want to make him a Brahmin. And nobody would agree. Swamiji, what will he do becoming Brahmin? They wanted to become an engineer or a doctor or something. But no, Brahmin, to preach Krishna consciousness, please. But no one would give, so Prabhupada went alone. And there he is, 1965, August the 13th, Friday, a very lucky Friday the 13th, that one. He left Calcutta on board the Jaladuta, right, walking up the gangplank, no, it's the steps, I think. Or again, maybe it was a gangplank or not, but he's boarding the Jaladuta, a very cargo ship, very oily, dirty. It's not like an ocean liner, going, kind of like in luxury as you board the boat. That was a cargo ship, completely different. That's a picture of Srila Prabhupada's front cover is Bhagavatam. Very simple, very, you could say rough by Western standards. There's the 3 volumes. You can see that everything about it is rather run down by Western standards. 3 volumes. And he took this little pamphlet with him, India's Message of Peace and Goodwill. There you go. Peace and goodwill. India's Message of Peace and Goodwill. Someone asked that question earlier on about something in that line. Well, the Prabhupada even worded it like that because that's what people can relate to. They can't relate to transcendental. So anyway, the inside was transcendental information, but initially India's Message of Peace and Goodwill. How people take it is their thing. There's the boat, the Jaladuta, which Prabhupada sailed on to America in August, September 65. And then, Prabhupada's reflecting. The name is there. He remembered, after all, he's officer. He knows so many things, so there's a great history. There was 2 days I was attacked in the heart on the ship I was talking about a heart attack which he had. It's great hardship. Then you had a dream? Devotee asked Trivikram. What was that, Prabhupada? You had a dream? Prabhupada said, yes, that is. The dream was I must come to America. It was sometimes instruction you got. Dream was that Krishna in his many forms was rowing the row. He's rowing the boat, basically speaking. Not bowing the row, rowing the boat. Actually. Bowing the row. Or bowing the row. I don't know if that's a spelling mistake or Prabhupada's words, I don't know what it's called. And then he says, rowing the boat, bowing the row. It was what Prabhupada said. And there's a painting of that. Of course, we can't say for sure what it looked like, but that's the painting someone did of that event. There's a boat pulling the Jaladuta across, with all the Lord in his many forms rowing across. Today, 16th of September, we're moving forward quickly, is the 35th day of our journey. Yesterday night, 10:30, we have turned one wheel, moves around towards northeastern corner from the Bermuda latitude towards the Boston port in the morning. The atmosphere was fairly clear and the ship was plying very smoothly. The first officer told me they'd never had such experience of the Atlantic Ocean, and he ascribed the good luck to me. I said, yes, it is all Lord Krishna's grace, because due to my severe type of seasickness, he has himself taken charge of the ship. It was like a smooth the whole way across the Atlantic, very, very, very. In expansion, the Lord is rowing the oars. We shall certainly reach to America port safely. The whole day was clear sunshine. 4 p.m. the sky suddenly became foggy. The sun became dim. The horizon is still visible. Let us see what is still ahead. The ship is stopped completely on account of dense fog. Be Lord Krishna pleased to get us out of this fog. By the grace of Krishna, the fog was cleared after 2 to 3 hours and the ship started. The whole night was non-disturbing, and today, 36th day of our journey, we reached safely at Boston at 5:30. That's on September the 17th. 5:30 a.m. The boat docked in Boston. And there is Boston Harbour. That's not the Jaladuta, but that is the port, the harbour where he landed. Commonwealth, called Commonwealth Pier. Many piers. That was the one where his ship landed. In 1965, we are now on the dockyard of Boston, and at 10 a.m. the custom officers and others come on the ship. They have now issued the admittance permission after due checking, etc. I saw the Boston town with the captain. It's very nice, and I should describe it in a separate note. 36th day from starting from Calcutta port. Today we are expected to reach Boston port. They're already there in one sense, in the morning, so it's kind of like they're almost, maybe they come on before they dock, maybe, or whatever. We stayed the whole day and night at Boston till 4 p.m. next day. And there's a front view of that port, Commonwealth Pier, where Prabhupada landed. And there's a view from Commonwealth Pier of Boston, as it is, not today, but not that long ago. They have this amazing festival there, I'll tell you about it in a minute. When I first came, I had no money. So I got a free passage, we saw that already. So I came by ship, so when I was on the ship at Boston, Commonwealth Port, I was thinking, I've come here, I do not know what is the purpose, how these people will accept this movement. They're differently educated, and as soon as I will say, so my dear sir, you have to give up meat eating, illicit sex, intoxicant and gambling, they will say, please go home. So I was thinking that I will propose something which is impossible. Anyway, let me try. There's Prabhupada again. I'll jump over this one. What if people don't want to hear our message? Pradyumna asked. Srila Prabhupada replied, the people might not understand our message, but Krishna will be pleased, and that is our mission. We must not be disappointed that no one is hearing Krishna consciousness. We will say it to the moon and the stars in all directions. We will cry in the wilderness, because Krishna is everywhere. We want to get a certificate from Krishna that this man has done something for me. Not popularity. If a pack of asses say you are good, what is that? We have to please Krishna's senses with purified senses. It was Prabhupada in Boston, 68. And that's the boat the devotees rent every year, a similar boat. And they put the sign on Jaladuta. That's not the sign, that's not the name of the actual boat, but they put that name on there. It's a boat which takes tourists around the harbour, a Boston harbour. It's quite a big harbour. It's like an inlet, and they take you all around. You see all the different islands and this and that. So the devotees rent it every year on this day, or yesterday, we should say. And hundreds of them usually gather, and around the harbour they go, and they have a wonderful time chanting and feasting and talking about Prabhupada and Jaladuta and this and that, and then they go to the Commonwealth Pier and they do arti to Prabhupada there and to the pier and everything else. And it's a wonderful festival day. Then they go to Boston Common. It's always the same day as Head Day, which is the students' Freshers' Day, and there's 50 to 100,000 students on the Common. And we distribute Bhagavad Gitas like anything. 500 to 1,000 Gitas usually each year go out to the students. So we're gonna go on. Next morning, early morning, Prabhupada wrote before the ship sailed. He wrote this poem on board the Jaladuta, which is what we're really celebrating today. It's called Markane Bhagavat Dharma. And this literally means, who knows what this means? Bhagavat Dharma you may know what it refers to, of course. In simple terminology, we could say the eternal consciousness of the soul, or Krishna consciousness, our eternal constitution, Bhagavat Dharma. Not just relative religion to help awaken it, but actually that pure relationship with Krishna, preaching the pure message. Markane, Prabhupada referred to preaching Krishna consciousness in America. That's where he was. And this was his, you could say, his mission statement, foundational statement paper on how we can actually be an instrument to further the spreading of Krishna consciousness. So I'm going to ask Manu Prabhu, can you come and play or can you follow very well on harmonium? You're also good? Okay, fine. Someone very good on Madunga, please. Anyone good on Madunga? Manan is also good. Are you also very good? I don't know. I have no idea. Who's the best? Good. So you play the Madunga. And someone on what else are we going to have? Someone on the saxophone. Someone on the after Kirtan Standards little session early on. Someone got some of those big Punjabi drums that you can smack and bang, or some kettle drums or something or another. Guitar. You got your guitars. You can actually sing this with the guitar very, very... I mean, Prabhupada said if a musical instrument is played very nicely and it doesn't drown out the chanting of the holy names, then it can be used. In certain conditions, not all conditions, not during Arti Kirtan, but during bhajans or festivals and things like that. Okay, so we'll go ahead. I need cartels. Where have I got the cartels? Yeah. Thank you. This is written by Srila Prabhupada at Boston Harbour, September 18th, 1965. Today it was, watch. Is it 18th today, isn't it? Yes. September 18th. So that's today, 57 years ago, Srila Prabhupada compiled this poem, which was later on found by devotees in Prabhupada's case. And it really is everything else is like building a castle on sand. It doesn't work. You've got to have a foundation. This is the foundation for the forward march of this Krishna conscious movement. Anything we do. So we'll sing this and we'll read the English afterwards as well. Are we ready? Give me one or two. Perhaps don't start on the first verse until I'm ready, because there's ups and downs and I've got to get it right. Otherwise, listen very, very... Madunga's okay. There's no... What do you call it? Whatever harmonium does, it sets the up and down. The Madunga doesn't. That keeps the beat, but the harmonium keeps another thing. And there's some ups and downs, so listen very carefully. So you try to get the ups when they're up and the downs when they're downs, because oftentimes a harmonium player is not experienced. They go up when they're down and down when you're up. It's not the easiest one, this one. Paro Kripa Kaile Krishna Adame Prati. All together. Paro Kripa Kaile Krishna Adame Prati. Just going to read. Okay, this keeps moving. Isn't it possible to fix it? I'm going to sit cross-legged, make it easier for me. Kilagia nileta koro ebegati Kilagia nileta koro ebegati. Okay, if you're ready, go for it. Where's he gone? He disappeared. Oh, there he is. Hache kichu kajata bamba eanu mane hache kichu kajata bamba eanu mane no he que no ani ben stane na he que no ani ben stane Rajastamo Gunera Sabai Asha Rajastamo Gunera Sabai Asha Vasudev Katauchi Nahisi Prasana Vasudeva Katauchi Nahisi Prasana Tabe jadi Taba kripa Hoy hoy tuki Tabe jadi Taba kripa Hoy hoy tuki Sakali Sambhava hoy Tumi se kotuki Sakali Sambhava hoy Tumi se kotuki Kibabe pujale tara Puje seira asa Shivahe Pujale Tara Hera Ita Kripa Kara Prabhu Korinija Asho Ita Kripa Kara Prabhu Korinija Asho Tomara Ichaya Sabha Hohe Maya Asho Tomara Ichaya Sabha Tomara Ichaya Nasha Mayara Parasho Tomara Ichaya Nasha Tavaicha Harijari Tadera Uda Tavaicha Harijari Tadera Uda Ujibe Nishaitabe Katase Toma Ujibe Nishaitabe Katase Toma Bhagavate Kathase Tavavatar Bhagavate. Can you make way for the guests, please? Move forward a bit. Avatar Giraya Shunene Kari Kane Barbar Giraya Shune Kari Kane Barbar Srinvatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Srinvatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Vedantaksto Bhadrani Vidunoti Saritsatam Yantako Bhadrani Vidunoti Saritsatam Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Naistiki kadarajas tamo bhava tammo lobadayasye. Chitaitai anavidam stitam sate prasidati. Anavidam stitam sate prasidati. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogata. Evam prasanna manaso Bhagavati Yogata Bhagavatattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Mukta Sangasya Jayate Vidyate Vidaya Ganti Chiryante Sabha Sanshaya Ante shastra karmani Ishtaivatmani shvare Rajastamo Hate tabe Paibe Nishtar Rajastamo Hate tabe Paibe Nishtar Miraya Abadrasate Kuchibe Taha Kikori Pujavo Katha Paro Sehi Chahi Kikori Pujavo Katha Paro Sehi Chahi Kurami dinai na kono shakti nahi Kurami dinai na kono shakti nahi Tacha ene cho Prabhu Kata bole bare Pata chae ne cho kata Bole bare Hey, what happened there? Whoops. Akira Jagat Guru Vachana Se Aman Akira Jagat Guru Vachana Yama Lankita Kariba Kamata Toma Alankita Kariba Kamata Toma Atava Kripa Alimo Akata Shuro Habe Atava Kripa Alimo Akata Shuro Habe Shunya Sabara Soka Adukaye Kuchibe Shunya Sabara Soka Adukaye Kuchibe Aniyato Jadi Prabhu हमारे ना चाहते आने आजो जरी बाबू हमारे ना चाहते ना चाहो प्रभु ना चाहो से माथे Nachayo Prabhu Nachao Mate Kashtera Putale Jata Nachao Se Mate Putale Jata Nachao Se Mate Bhakti nai, Veda nai, Nami Kudaro. Nami Kudaro. Bhakti Vedanta Nami Te Satakoro. Bhakti Vedanta Namede Satakoro Bhakti Vedanta Namede Satakoro Vedanta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Oh Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Oh Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Baro Kripa Koile Krishna Adame Prati Baro Kripa Koile Krishna Adame Ilagia Ileta Koro ebe gati Ilagia Ilaheta Koro ebe gati Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Carry on droning. You can carry on the same tune if you want. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul. I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. absorbed in material life. They think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will understand, how they will be able to understand it. But I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible, because you are the most expert mystic. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? Oh Lord, I'm simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy by your will. And therefore, if you like, by your will they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation, and if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. He will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of his heart will disappear. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering a service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy, thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness. The man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive, scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make a success or a failure as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I'm sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel engladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. Oh Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord. Make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. Signed, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. On board the ship Jaladuta, Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, dated 18th of September, 1965. We won't go on with the rest of the presentation because time is very late. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Oh Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Oh Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Oh Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. The rounds were the second part, and they were like a rocket. And we don't have time, but it's a beautiful poem, which maybe we'll do another time. But it's an amazing poem about Srila Prabhupada's at Boston, stepping off the boat there in Boston Harbor. And the significance of that event. So we have to finish there, and we've gone over time by short. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I'd just like to show one thing before we go on. You can keep the screw. You've turned it off now. Oh, I've turned it off. I think someone's turned it off. Perhaps it's me who's turned it off. And who turned it off? Or whatever it is, it's turned off. Is it not back on? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I can do it.
No, you don't need to. It's kind of finished.
Just slide it all the way back.
Don't worry, it's kind of finished anyway. You saw the picture. The poem we didn't get, but that's no problem. So, thank you. But I'd just like to mention one thing. A very special event on this very special year of Srila Prabhupada's is the 100th anniversary of Prabhupada meeting his Guru Maharaj this year, and of course many things this year, anniversaries of this and that, and are going on around ISKCON, different deities being installed, temples opened, devotees getting initiated, so many things. We have anniversaries, 50th or 100 this year. One thing that is very special, which happened at least to me this year, and to others too also, is that last October, November, yeah, you can, Tamasimam Jyotiya Gamaha, we can come out of the darkness into the light again. Fresh air kirtan, thank you for that. You know, we need some fresh air kirtan now. It's also good having sometimes inner kirtans, and you know, fresh air kirtans are fantastic for embracing the world and the living entities in the world, Krishna's parts and parcels, bringing them back to Krishna. But we also need our internal kirtans, so sometimes that's required. But last October, I think last year, see, there's an emergency all the time. There's an emergency in this world. There's really dire need for spreading Krishna consciousness more now than ever. We can easily understand from world events. But last October or something like that, anyone from Moscow here? Anyone from Moscow? Moscow, anyone? No one from Moscow? Russia? Anyone from Russia? Nobody? Where have all the Russians gone? Where have they all gone? We used to have a lot of Russian devotees. Pardon?
They're normally here.
Well, it seems like they're not here today anyway, whatever it is. So, that's aside from the point, but we have many ashrams in Russia. As the devotees, there is a very difficult time for them. Bear that in mind, please. It's not just the devotees and the people of Ukraine, but it's not easy for the people in Russia either, nor the devotees. In many ways, kind of harder in a different way. So anyway, there's an ashram there, it's called the Paramakruna Mandir. How most merciful, topmost, most merciful Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya Mandir. And they're very much oriented towards what we call book distribution. Some of you are familiar with this, Sankirtan. Prabhupada, as we heard on the, we saw on the presentation, how much Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master emphasized distribution of books, and how Prabhupada himself personally did emphasize book distribution, came to the West only with his Bhagavatams as far as books go, and a small pamphlet. But that was basically encouraging people to read the Bhagavatam. So very important to distribute these literatures. They stay there, they're remaining throughout, you know, different changes in the world. Books remain for centuries, and different people get the opportunity to access them. It may not just be us, but others. So they distribute books in Russia, in Moscow, and other cities in Russia. And unfortunately, last October, fortunately, they sent out a message with a GoFundMe appeal for help to purchase new vehicles so that they could go from their mandir to different spots to distribute Prabhupada's books and chant Hare Krishna. Because all their vehicles were old and broken, and they didn't have much money there. And so they made the appeal, and many devotees, I think, worldwide contributed. And they actually succeeded in getting, in November, they actually purchased 7 new vehicles for their Sankirtan. So I was one of the fortunate souls who was an instrument for money to be transferred to them. And Krishna gives and Krishna moves on. Everything's moving. So I was just instrument for money to move through me to them. And they were very grateful. They sent thank you notices and so on. And that was it. I was happy with that. I mean, just happy to be a part of the Sankirtan movement. Very happy to hear they got their vehicles. I went out on Sankirtan for the marathon, and there's vehicles. What more do you need? That's more than satisfying the heart. But in May, I just came back from England. I was in England for a while. Went back to France. I stay in France most of the time. I was in France, and I just got back to France, and I had a phone call from a devotee I've known for a long time. He's one of the senior administrators, not in so much now, but he was, still is involved, senior administrator from the Russian country, Krishna conscious country, Krishna conscious associate, devotees, ISKCON, whatever you call it. One of the senior ones, his name's Madam Mohan Prabhu. Phoned me up, he was in Mayapur at the time, and he phoned me up and said, Maharaj, this is Madam Mohan, I obeisances, we're old friends for decades and decades. And I said, yeah, that's so nice. How have I been fortunate enough to get this telephone call? He said, well, Maharaj, I sent a parcel, we sent a parcel to you, did you get it? And I didn't know anything about that. I said, where from? From Moscow. He said, as far as I know, I received nothing from Moscow since I've been in France. Can't ever remember receiving anything from Moscow, ever, in terms of mail. And he said, well, there should be a parcel there for you. And then one of the brahmacharis, in fact, Mahananda Prabhu, who's with me here, is traveling with me. He knew about it. He was keeping the secret, actually. The parcel was already there, but he didn't tell me. This day happened to be the 51st anniversary of Srila Prabhupada's arrival in Moscow when this phone call came. 1971, Prabhupada arrived in Moscow, sometime in May, I can't remember the date. But he arrived in May in Moscow in 1971, for the one and only time. And of course everything sprang from Prabhupada's few days in Moscow. We now have hundreds of thousands of devotees in Russia, just because of Prabhupada's few days in Moscow, basically, sprang from that. And he brought this parcel. Mahananda Prabhu brought the parcel in, and he gave me the parcel, and Madam Mohan online said, on the phone said, please take a video when Maharaj opens the parcel. It's about I don't know, 4 to 6 times bigger than this little box you see here, this little white box. It's a nice little white box, very beautiful. So I started to open it, a few layers. Eventually came to this little white box. Says, what's inside? Beautiful title. It's very beautifully done. Parama Karuna Mandir, Moscow. So I opened it. I could see how to open it, but then I saw there's a magnetic kind of a flip, flap, the kind of, those magnetic ones. I opened it, and you could see, hey, what's going on here? There's Vrindavan. And there's a little message here, and it says from www.sankirtan.help. To Janananda Goswami, with deep gratitude for your support of Srila Prabhupada's Sankirtan mission. Whatever that is, didn't do much. Then I opened it one more time, and then a little bit more, and there's an incredible little altar, almost you could say, of Srila Prabhupada. Here he is, Prabhupada's walking in Moscow in 1971. You saw it on the slide just now. You can see it closer later on if you want. And this is probably the same year walking in Vrindavan, in front of the Madam Mohan temple. Then this is kind of like, interesting. What is it? I was kind of guessing. I didn't know really what was going to come next. It was wrapped this wrapper was this cloth. So I took the cloth, and put that down there somewhere. Took the cloth, unwrapped the cloth, and inside was a shock of my life. There was a little beautiful deity of Srila Prabhupada. You must have a look at it if you want to. You have a close look at this deity. Now this is no ordinary deity. Now it's significant. He was waiting till I arrived on that day, of course, to tell me that this parcel had arrived, so special. You could say, a very special day. Prabhupada's arrived in Moscow. And he came from Moscow to France and it's quite something special. From Moscow, actually, he did fly to Paris in 1971, so it has significance. Now this deity is not it's not ordinary deity. You've got to come close to see. But you can see the veins on Prabhupada's hand. Such a tiny deity. You can see each and every neck bead. You can see the fingernails on his teeny weeny little fingers. You can see the knot tying him to Uttareya's top piece. You can see everything there. It's so clear, it's unbelievable. It's a perfect replica of the big deity they have there of Prabhupada in a tiny size. Now that's no ordinary fate. They're very expert at these sort of things. Many Russian people are so artistically expert. They did everything they could to make a perfect replica in this teeny little size, just 1.5 inches tall. It's amazing. Now, how they did it? Well, they did it for the devotees who gave donations. I don't know anyone and everyone, but they certainly gave it for many who gave donations to help them purchase vehicles, that's for sure. They made quite a lot of these in mold. They made a mold. They're expert, with different photographing, every different angle, this, that. I guess a computerized mold, and then they made it into a real mold. And then how do they do? Well, they on their Sankirtan in December, we call it the Prabhupada Book Marathon. Every December we have it all over the world. I'm sure you have it here. We have this book marathon. And they took the coins, this particular group of devotees in Moscow, took the coins which they collected on the street and they melted them down. And they used those melted down coins to make these deities. Now that's very special because not only was it the gift of all those persons on the street who get immense benefit from that, but this is metal, which the coins are made from, is the best metal you can find practically for making, for putting in molds to make absolutely perfect replicas. Because they have to make it by the billion all the time over the world, perfect coins. So it's a perfect blend of metal to achieve this purpose. So what a nice way to utilize the fortune of people giving some of their so-called Lakshmi to Krishna. Lakshmi belongs to Krishna. And it's important to understand you can't approach Krishna directly. You have to go through his consort, in this case Lakshmi Devi. And that's why knowledge, if you don't give something in return for receiving knowledge, the knowledge will never be realized. It will never digest. It just remains a mental remembrance or something like that, theory only. For knowledge to be digested, we have to give, we have to sacrifice. That which doesn't belong to us, we have to, let's say, give up the idea it does and use it for Krishna's service. Then Krishna will reveal knowledge. It becomes Vigyan instead of just knowledge. So much we have maybe knowledge of this and that, but it is of no real value unless it becomes Vigyan. And that's when we start to realize that Lakshmi is only meant for the service of Krishna and nothing else whatsoever. Lakshmi belongs to Narayan, not us. Lakshmi Narayan. So you approach Narayan through Lakshmi. It's not that we approach Narayan for Lakshmi. We approach Narayan through Lakshmi. That's so by sacrificing it. Lakshmi is for Krishna's pleasure, not ours. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If you want to look closely, please do come up. It's quite extraordinary. There's some good lighting. I don't know if the lighting is good enough to see clearly here though. Maybe. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Manu Prabhu, I hand over to you, or whoever I'm supposed to hand over to. Huh?
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Thank you, Manu Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
And we're going to have an arti now, and if everyone can stand up.
Well, do they want to look at Prabhupada? Who wants to look at Srila Prabhupada? Come closely. I wish we had